cameras the
Well,
whole way through.
Welcome to the Sunscreen Film Festival podcast. See, the red light is blinking, so that we are recording.
You missed my whole
Peanuts.
love letter
I forgot
to,
Peanuts. A giant
Jesus and
peanut
strippers.
and peaches.
As you can see, we just get started chatting before the before this thing actually gets going.
You missed Brilliance like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes of brilliance that we, for some reason,
We discussed the color pink.
inexplicably did not get on camera.
This
So
has nothing to do with Kevin Bigelow.
we're going to sort of start over here. Welcome to the Sunscreen Film Festival podcast. I'm Tony Armour, Executive Director of the Sunscreen Film Festival. Tyler Martin-Olich, Programming Director. Superhero, regular contributor. And Brad Siverson, writer and regular contributor to the Sunscreen Film Festival podcast as well. This is podcast number 25. I'm talking real fast because we already did this, and we somehow just didn't record it, but now we're recording. So anyways,
There's no hurry. Just
regardless.
give your news, and then we'll jump in.
The news is that you've got 2 days to submit your film or screenplay to the film festival, and
They can
we will
still overnight it, right?
Yep. Well, all they have to do is enter through Without a Box within the next 2 days, and
What
then
the heck is without a box?
that withoutabox.com is the
'Cause I didn't know.
film festival submission website that every film festival in the world uses to accept films. It works for us as film festivals because every film gets a tracking number, all the information is there, it makes it easy and organized.
Withoutabox.com.
Withoutabox.com. So
Why don't you be fair, and if it's postmarked, like if somebody meant as postmarked before the submission date.
as long as they submit through the website by the 15th, the postmark
That's instantaneous.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, yay the future.
Yes.
Yay, the future.
So, and you know,
Future is why I can see all these movies online that have basically been stolen.
and well, even though the internet is the future and has been around for a while,
It still sucks.
How ironic.
the Oscars, the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy this year, which, by the way, Sunscreen Film Festival is one of only 23 film festivals in the country to be sponsored by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences for 2013.
Out of 5,000 film
Wow.
festivals.
Yes.
How did you pull that? Or did they just notice you? Or
No, you have to apply. You have to apply, and a lot of film festivals apply, and there are certain restrictions. You have to have been in existence this many years. You have to have this, this, and this, and this, and so it just means we're awesome. That is what it boils down to.
That is very impressive. I was going to say how I prefer the MTV Movie Awards, but now I won't do that.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
What are those?
I don't know. I've not heard of them. You know what? We are going to give out a special award this year. We can't say who it's going to go to yet because he has not accepted, but we are giving out a Sunscreen Film Festival Lifetime Achievement Award, a Lifetime Badass Award.
I know,
Awesome.
I know who's going to get it, and I will sell this information to the highest bidder for $500.
And so the actor still has to accept our invitation. We're thinking he probably will, but it's an actor who has a lifetime of badassery in film basically.
MTV would always give theirs to a fictitious character. So 1 year it was Godzilla. The next year it was Jason Voorhees. And the next year it was Clint Howard. He actually, because he's kind of like a fictitious character. And he actually showed up to get it, and everything was great.
I don't know the last time I actually watched the MTV Movie Awards.
Me
last time
either.
I
It's
watched
been a
MTV,
while.
It's all a reality TV show.
I heard they
Yeah.
kind of went south.
Yeah.
But back in the day with Shatner and
Right.
everything, they were pretty good.
The fact that they had to bring back Beavis and Butthead just proves that they're kind of scrambling at this point.
Yeah.
Does anyone watch Beavis and Butthead? I knew it came back this season.
I watched the first one that came back last year, like right before I moved out of my old place, and it was amazing how it was exactly the same as it was before.
Wow.
Same intro, same approach, same.
Well, you wait 20
style.
years, and 20-year-olds are still the same as they were 20 years ago. So
It was just surreal. It was like being in a time warp.
Wow. Well, Mike Judge did say when he quit doing them, he promised there would be specials and stuff like that, but then King of the Hill was so huge, he didn't have to do it. Interesting story about that. You know, he did Kenny's voice in the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
No, I didn't know.
The reason, all he says is, thanks, you guys. That's all he says throughout the whole movie. Matt and Trey, when they first hit it big and they were skyrocketing, making millions
Matt Stone
of
and Trey
dollars.
Parker, the creators of South Park.
Yeah, and everything like that. They went to an animation awards thing to meet Matt Groening. And they were walking around the thing because Matt Groening, of course, wins everything. And they're looking for Matt Groening to tell him how much they idolize him and everything like that.
Matt
Some guy
Groening, the person who created The Simpsons, by the way.
comes up behind him and says, Matt Groening never comes to these things, laughing at them. And they turn around and it's Mike Judge. And that's how they met Mike Judge. And Mike Judge ended up doing Kenny's voice for them in the movie.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about the internet and the Oscars is that this year, for the first time, the Academy had members able to nominate films in all the categories online. And apparently it was so complicated and so convoluted, and the average age of the Oscar voter is 62 years old, that they...
They always like these old mummified
Really?
movies.
Yes, average age of an Academy member is 62 years old. And it was so difficult that a lot of... they had to extend the nomination period so they could send in handwritten ballots because they couldn't...
So many people kept having heart attacks.
Yeah, and well, yes, and the problem was, because they wanted to make it very, very security heavy, so people just couldn't hack in and do it, and it ended up being just like a huge mess.
Wow. Now, see, that was the one thing I always liked about the MTV ones is people got to vote on them.
Yeah.
Joe Lunchpail got to decide, if Rebecca De Mornay was a better villain than Robert Patrick. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
Whereas,
but at the same time, if the Oscars did that, or if every award show did that, Twilight would win
Ew.
everything,
Yeah.
and I would just hate
That's what they do
myself.
have the People's Choice Awards for that.
Right.
And the Golden Globes, which are just a sham of an awards thing, but,
hey, Jan Michael Vincent has a Golden Globe.
Does he?
Yeah, he got
Well,
it for Winds of War.
everybody except for Jan
Winds
Michael
of
Vincent.
War?
It's
Yeah,
a sham.
The Winds of War with Robert Mitchum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that.
Remember
We were chatting a little bit before. Can't remember how we segued onto it. Well, I mentioned Zero Dark
That was
30,
the very
which is one of the
first
films nominated for an Oscar, and Catherine
it up.
Bigelow, who
Look
directed
it
Zero
up.
Dark 30, and then who also directed
Perfect Dark.
Near Dark.
Or Near Dark, I'm sorry.
No, Near Dark.
Widowmaker.
Basically,
Widowmaker K-19.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No, I don't think she did
No?
Fast
That was
Times.
somebody else.
But she did do Point Break, which we just went on and on about how much we loved Point Break.
Well, I just
and
went on and on about how I married Catherine Bigelow.
yeah,
She's
and
Point Break, the greatest story. What did I say? The greatest story about passion among enemies ever told.
Yes, and it is. And we were talking about how it would not have worked if a man had directed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then we said about how Lauren,
Lori Petty.
Laura Petty is not cute. She's hot, didn't we?
Or something along
I
those lines,
thought
yeah.
she was
Right.
hot in Point Break,
Because
but
we
since
talked
then,
about Demolition
She didn't do a thing for
Man
me at Point Break.
because
Bill Cobbs, who's
Bill
been to the
Cobbs
festival film.
had been to the festival so many times, and the reason you know that Sandra Bullock exists is because she was Laura Petty's understudy on Demolition Man, and Laura Petty was such an unholy bitch to work with. They fired her, and Sandra Bullock was the understudy, and she took over, and everyone thought, oh, she's cute, and she was made.
There you go.
And you never saw Laura Petty again except in Deep Space Nine.
I actually liked the movie Speed as well.
Was she in
Speed
there?
to me
Yes, she was the.
kind of disappointing.
I mean, it was whatever. It was a Keanu Reeves action movie from 1994, which for some reason Point Break and Speed and whatnot.
Speed just didn't
You'd think Laura Petty would work more because
But I liked those both.
she's a guy girl. Not saying she's a lesbian. I'm saying she's approachable.
Yeah.
She's got that voice like the, she's like one of the guys. She'd come in and watch football with you and stuff like that. You'd think she,
chugging beers with you, hanging
Yeah,
out, eating
yeah.
chicken wings.
yeah, that's what you think she'd work more. But apparently, maybe guys don't like that. Maybe they think they're.
No,
they're-
guys think they like that.
Yeah.
But they get tired of it really quick because they got their guy friends for that.
Well, you know me. It's like I like Laura Prepon. Or
So-
sorry, let me take that back. Yuck. People say, "Oh, Laura," because I like redheads.
Right.
So people have always said, well, you must like Laura Prepon. And I say, if I ever met Laura Prepon, the very first thing I'd say would be, hey, Lauren, let us see your penis. She sits like a guy. She talks like a guy. She does this like a guy.
You're gonna have to remind
She's it like a guy.
Laura Prepon was in.
That
That
70s
The
show.
redhead.
Oh, she's the redhead from
She's
that
a-
70s show.
I
Okay.
liked her until she went blonde, and then I was just like, you just
You'd be in Black Dog with Patrick Swayze and be another trucker. That'd be a good. But the point being, you're absolutely right. Guys think I never did a guy chick like that acts like it. Yeah,
Well, the
it
thing
doesn't
is,
do
like,
anything
I
for
look
me
at her,
at all.
I watch that 70s show once a week. I'm like, I like redheads, and
Mm-hmm.
she's pretty. She's got a pretty face. I look at that. I'm like, I like her. But if I went out with her maybe 4 or 5 times, by the 4th date, I'd be like,
Well, you can
Now,
only.
of course, with me, you see her. It's like, get out of the way. Let's look at your mom, Tanya
You-
Roberts.
You can
Tanya Roberts.
well, Tanya Roberts. I
Except that
mean,
she was Sheena.
she was a Bond girl too. You know? I mean, come on.
yeah. The hell with you. Get out of the way. Let's look at Tanya Roberts.
You can only be drunk under the table by a girl doing shots of tequila so many times before
It's hot the first time.
it doesn't
Yeah.
become
By
fun
the
to hang out with them
third
anymore.
time, It's just embarrassing and annoying.
And I thought it might just be the character, but it's not. I
That's-
saw her, and
that's
she
her and everything.
Yeah, she actually acts like that. Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, but have you ever seen the movie Sheena with Tanya Roberts?
Oh yeah.
the scene where they throw Sheena out of the helicopter and they do a cut, and it's a stunt woman who's obviously dark-skinned Hispanic with a blonde wig that's falling off. It's just so hilarious. That movie's such a disaster.
I brought it up one time where Kitty wanted to be one of Midge's bridesmaids. And she's like, she kept dropping it, get ha 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 with the laugh, get dropping hints about wanting to be a bridesmaid. And Midge wouldn't let her be a bridesmaid for some reason. Then when all the bridesmaids show up, it's Barbara Carrera, Maude Adams, Jane Seymour, all these Bond women. And they're all tower over her and everything like that. But all the bridesmaids were Bond girls and everything. It was hilarious.
That was such a good show. I mean, it was really well written. And the thing that I hate about that show is it had this wonderful arc for the main character, and then he got all full of himself and quit to be a second or third-rate character in a Spider-Man movie, and they ruined the whole arc.
I heard he's hard to work with. I don't know. I heard that. I heard he's hard to work with.
All I know is he quit, and if they had just kept Topher Grace's character's arc through the whole series and edited it, it would have been brilliant. I mean, there was such a good... And it was subtle, slow, it was moving very...
And in real life, Jackie and Kelso are back together again.
Tanya Roberts was in The Beastmaster as well? Was she in The Beastmaster?
I don't remember.
I forgot about that. Huh.
Yeah, Jackie and Kelso are seeing each other again now. Yep, swear to God.
Yeah, I do already recall that. I think I have a clip.
The best characters in that show were the parents.
Oh, of course. Right. Kurtwood Smith and... What was the name of the woman that played Kitty?
I don't know, but she was great.
Then
she do the old booze in this.
Yeah.
No, the best Kurtwood Smith line ever, and I love RoboCop, keep in mind. The best Kurtwood Smith ever is when they're doing a prank war, and Kelso tries to get the other, or they try to get Kelso and they accidentally get the dad, and he's furious. And so he sits his son down, and he's like, blah, 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 what is he? He's like, well, Dad, Kelso did this, and we did this, and it was all meant for Kelso. He's like, fine. Well, I want you to write up Kelso, Hyde, and the foreign kid, and we're going to get him. And he's like, no, Dad, I don't want to get Hyde and the foreign kid. They're on my side. And he just looks and goes, well, your side lost. Now everybody cries.
Kurtwood Smith carried that show. I mean, everyone was great, but he was just above and beyond.
Well, he's great in everything. I've seen him in like 3 things now that I...
And I love the guy that plays Bob. Whatever.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad either. And the first time I saw that 70s show, I'm like, I know that actor, and I couldn't figure out for weeks. He was in the pilot for Sledgehammer, and he's like the skeezy little informant that Sledgehammer ties to a carnival wheel, and he's shooting that to a terrorist.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That is absolutely great.
I'm going to take you to the carnival.
Well, speaking of torturing somebody to get information out of them, we were talking about the Oscars. Zero Dark 30. This is the way it goes. We get random tangents. It's going to veer off. Zero Dark 30 being criticized because of torture in the film, as if the U.S. government doesn't actually torture people to get information on them. And they're throwing a big to-do, and senators are like, we don't torture people.
Proxy Captain America, wasn't that his name? Remember?
My God, I think you're right. Yeah.
Captain America, the captain, he wore the black with the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Wasn't that John Walker?
I think that was John Walker.
And then they named his sidekick like something racially insensitive, and he was in black
Bucky.
character.
Bucky. He was Bucky.
Yeah. And he was a great big black man dressed up in the old Bucky uniform.
Yeah.
Terrible. It was during the 60s, right?
Yeah.
No, this was...
No, this was 80s.
90s.
In the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
They brought out, like, we'll name his sidekick Lil Coon.
No, right.
And then, like, oh, we're going to be racially insensitive. Like,
No,
1989.
Time out. Actually, comic book.
Sambo, come here. Right,
What's that?
It was during the Vietnam era, though, in the comic book, right?
No. In the comic book, in the 90s, and it was...
U.S. agent.
Yeah.
U.S. agent.
In the 80s, they fired Captain America in the comic book, and they had a replacement. And
U.S.
his
agent, right.
sidekick was named Bucky, but he's a black man, and Buck is a...
Right, I know.
Yeah, but this was in the 80s, and it wasn't set.
Yeah, late
It was the
80s.
Django
They
Unchained
did it while it was
version
in
of
the
Captain
Navy.
America.
All right, I totally missed that one. God, where was that?
It was Django Captain
Because, like,
America.
after several letters, they're like, maybe we'll change his name to something a little less offensive.
Steve.
You can't wait for 30 years from now when all this gets declassified and they find out how horribly inaccurate this movie is.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then they just make a new version.
Yeah.
It's only lame.
Which is fine. I mean, people don't care if it's that inaccurate. They just want to see him killing
They
Osama
just
bin
want to
Laden.
get all pumped up.
Every great historical event like that, too. You never, like, right off the bat, you're like, wait about 10 years till somebody writes a book about it, and then you find out what
Somebody
actually
was plugged in.
happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Doesn't matter if it's a
Any
good
of the
event, a
information
bad
that comes
event.
out right, like, I mean, this was, what, a year ago, 2 years ago now, whatever it is. Any information that comes out right after something happens is going to be completely way off.
Well, part of the controversy with the movie, though, is that the Obama administration worked directly with the film production company to give them as much declassified information and insight into the actual operation as they could without crossing that line.
Yeah.
So, from their point of view, it was as close as humanly possible.
With the knowledge that you have at this time.
Out there,
yeah.
Or they're willing to give access to. But going to the torture thing, it was interesting. I was listening to some podcast and the writer was on, and he was saying, like, look, the torture scenes in the movie, and they are very graphic, because it's not just the waterboarding. Like, in the waterboarding stories, like, that actually came out in Congress, they're using water bottles. In the movie, they're dumping buckets over people's heads.
Yeah.
Buckets and buckets and buckets. And they have shock collars on the people's heads. What he did is he took...
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
If you're a terrorist, well, come on.
Who cares?
Well, I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
His whole point was like, look, I took every story, hyperbolized or not, of other torture incidents and combined them into one event for the purposes of dramatic storytelling.
Right.
This isn't... I'm taking creative license here. But he was also saying, like, look, people, if you're watching this movie, you have to remember they're torturing terrorists.
Right.
The guy that we are torturing in this movie literally cut someone's head off on film with a sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hacked
You know, John
through
McCain.
a person's head.
John McCain ought to say, you know what I'll do? Because waterboard. He'll go and hire the guys in Vietnam that beat his ass because they know about beating some ass.
Yeah.
And so I'll show you what real torturing is.
Yeah.
And hire them and bring them over here. I'm sure you could still find them. They live forever. You know, go ahead and say, these guys knew how to beat some ass and bring them over here and let them beat some ass.
People are all up in arms like there's something wrong with torture.
What?
If it was puppies, you don't torture puppies, but if you want to torture
Terrorists,
then literally you know who the guy is because, like Tyler just said, he cut somebody's head off on camera.
Right.
They should not only torture that guy, they should let all of us torture that guy. They should hand out a lottery. Who wants to come torture this guy?
Little Vietnamese guys, bring them over. Let them beat some ass too. You know, exactly. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares?
So, regardless, people are still talking about the movie then. So that's a good thing.
But they were saying, well, it's a dark horse. I mean, it's a wonderfully made, crafted movie from everything I've read as far as reviews.
I haven't seen it yet. Soon.
But one of the reasons they're saying it's just not going to win is because it does.
There's going to be that political backlash.
It strikes such a neutral tone, which everyone thought this was either going to be
jingoistic,
far left or far right.
Far right.
Yeah.
Which, knowing Catherine Bigelow, I couldn't imagine going far right.
Yeah.
So they thought it was going to be very much in the tank for the Obama administration. In fact, a lot of people were thinking this was going to come out before the election.
And help the election reform.
But from all the reviews, they say they mitigate both.
It's not political,
Bush and President Obama. They don't show up in the movie at all, except for in the background, sort of in a news conference. It is just showing the soldiers' perspective and the CIA's perspective. They don't go political at all.
And I'm sure there was a hot redhead standing on the tarmac when these guys were taking off, too, going, like out of 633 Squadron or something like that. You know, George Takeros, I love you, baby. You know, no, I'm sure that was really what happened. Yeah.
But
I don't know, that's how I always picture me being, like, cheered on by a hot redhead no matter what's going on.
Me too.
Yeah.
But going back to
making
Catherine
dinner,
Bigelow,
you know.
I want to bring up, we talked about it before the camera's rolling, but I want to bring up again. Is her first movie that she made was one of the best vampire movies ever.
Although I got to say, they've been talking about remaking it, which I rarely approve of, but I approve in this sense because the first 20 minutes of Near Dark are boring as hell, slow. I could barely get into it. Then you have a middle that's stunning. And then a climax that is action-packed but makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that movie remade, but they're never going to get that middle right again.
Now, you just made me think of something. Origin kills superhero movies. And you told us you just saw Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was not good, but it was, to me, I've been warned that it was bad.
I said it was horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
Me, I just sat there like, it just made no sense. It was boring and pointless. And the origin was, as you were saying, you were pointing out, the origin was.
But Brad, to be fair, you've seen trash that was never meant to see the light of day.
True.
So that's definitely clouded your perspective of what.
I don't think so, because I mean, I walk into like Mummy 3 and Van Helsing actually made me angry, like as in wall punching, deposit losing on the apartment angry. But this I just looked at, I was just like, nah, this just isn't that good.
Huh.
And we are talking about a movie that's a couple years old, but it really, I thought it was, when I was sitting there in the theater watching it, maybe I was angry because I saw it at the theater.
Do you know, I
maybe that's part of it.
That it made $400,000 it made internationally $400,000 due to a combination of apathy and refusal to release it wide because it was taken so bad.
Just so you know, we're talking about origin and killing things in the first 20 minutes of a movie are bad. Go look at Wikipedia. Jonah Hex has the most bizarre, convoluted... there's no radioactive spider in his origin. It is campfires upside down and ghosts and tomahawk fights and this tribe of Indians and that. It is the most bizarre thing you've ever read. You can't make heads or tails of it. That's what made me think of it when you said the first 20 minutes of a movie. Like the first 4 hours of, Batman Rises. What was it? The Christian Bale Batman movie. The first 4 hours of it. When is he finally gonna become Batman?
What's funny is the Jonah Hex. I just watched it last night. The Jonah Hex DVD is so just like bare bones done. Let's get out of it. All it has is the movie and Spanish subtitles and 3 bonus scenes. That's it.
Wow.
No commentary, nothing. One of the bonus scenes.
Speak of the devil.
Starts out
Jonah Hex.
Bad. And the funny thing is, I'm watching like, where does this even fit into the movie? There was no point leading into it or leading out of it that I could see in the film. But it has one creepy scene in it, in the cutscene that's better than anything, where they set up that he can talk to the dead because he's a cowboy, and cowboys probably have that power in the world of Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
But he accidentally stumbles into a like a New Orleans style funeral, and as they all pass, the last thing coming is the coffin, and it's a child who's been killed, and all of a sudden the child sits up in the coffin and points to where he's supposed to go to lead it. And it's creepy. It's a really good scene, but it doesn't have any context
in the film.
Just there.
Yeah.
The movie,
it's just there.
If you cut out the credits and the intro, the movie is less than 70 minutes long.
Yeah,
I think it's about 65.
Well, the shorter the better because it was horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, it feels like there should have been more there. It's just a disaster.
Yeah. Speaking of disastrous movies, I went and saw, there was a trailer. I saw Jack Reacher last night. I know I'm a couple weeks behind the times. But I saw a trailer for the new G.I. Joe film during Jack Reacher. And oh my God, does that thing look like it could be
I heard from someone.
Well, the first one's horrible, right?
I heard from someone in L.A. At one of the film fests who spoke to me with the understanding I would not say his name.
We can't hear your voice because you're not on. You're not near a microphone.
Okay. At one of the film fests, I met someone who told me this with the understanding that I would not mention his name.
Right.
I don't know why we were drinking, but he told me that G.I. Joe, the first G.I. Joe, their first showing, I can't even remember.
The first test screening was the lowest
in history.
In history.
In the history of Hollywood.
Yes.
The lowest rated test screening of any film.
Yep.
Yeah. I heard the same thing.
That's not a secret.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Now, I used to know a comparison. Oh, yeah. It wasn't... No. It was funny.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, I can't think of the other film now, but there was one that G.I. Joe was the lowest rated test screen film in history, and it made a buttload of money. And then the highest rated test screen film in the world, like everyone said, don't change a thing, bombed horribly. And I can't remember what the other one was now. But it just...
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know, I think this is the trailer right here. But...
This has been done for over...
It's been done for a while, and...
Almost 2 years.
They were going to release it last year, but...
Last summer.
But Channing Tatum became so big as an actor, like so popular lately, he dies in the first couple minutes of this film. They're like, shit, we can't kill Channing Tatum now because
for Pete's sake.
We better go reshoot some stuff and change some things so we can keep him in the movie longer.
Seagal was bigger than him, and he died in the beginning of Executive Decision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Who the fuck's this? This punk that think he's bigger than Seagal?
But it wasn't him. It was the studios, you know.
Still, though.
But still.
Seagal can die in the beginning of a movie. Why can't he?
But it's business. So you got to squeeze every nickel out of this that they can because it...
Well, because they're bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and the movie looks so incredibly horrible.
You know what they
May
probably
I also
said?
throw into that conversation, if Shatner can die in the first 10 minutes of a Star Trek movie,
right.
Come on.
You know what? You just made me think, too. Since it made a huge amount of money, even though the last test screening was so bad, they probably said, do everything exactly the same. Screw the test screenings.
Well, they did the old, well, let's throw in a Bruce Willis cameo, so Bruce Willis pops up in there, and The Rock, and reshoot some stuff to throw Channing Tatum back in there because we killed him at the beginning.
Well,
and
I think that was almost their way to...
Is this the movie now?
yeah, this is the trailer.
to clean the slate from the first movie, because the movie was terrible. It made a lot of money. They literally kill the entire original cast off in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I guess the whole premise of the movie is that, what is the snake pit or whatever it is, where their base is totally wiped off the map. Cobra takes over, and then a new crop of Joes arise.
Right.
So it's like, all right,
I
it's
think
the B team.
now one of the things that makes this so bad is the Cobra people are nothing like the Cobra people, right? I mean, Cobra Commander is, I talk like that, and Destro's not all with his metal face, and the one ow, and the other guy goes, oh, stop hitting yourself. You know, they don't do that, do they?
No.
No wonder it's full of suck.
Yes, exactly.
And,
full of suck.
And they don't. Yeah, where's Cobra? Get out of the way! You know, like I saw a thing on Robot Chicken where the seals broke in, and Cobra Commander grabs the bear and just goes, "Defend your commander, bitch!" And that's G.I. Joe. That's G.I. Joe. This is not G.I. Joe.
Keith, actually, your brother, who was actually here once when discussing Bruce Lee movies, bought the G.I. Joe the first 3 miniseries, and then like
the animated one from the 80s.
Yeah, the animated one that's what everyone thinks of when they think of G.I. Joe. And just rewatching those, it's just this mixture of like amazing bits and just complete jackassery.
Yeah.
Where's the Weather Dominator? There's supposed to be Weather Dominator, Sand Dominator, Fire Dominator. I just saw him like take over the White House. Cobra wouldn't take over the White House. They'd be busy trying to make something that makes storms or something like that.
Well,
they could care less about the White House.
And the crazy thing about this ridiculous film is that in the trailer, you see the old shot of, they got the satellite that they can do whatever they want with, and they blow up London, like the entire city of London. And I am so tired of seeing like entire cities and countries and civilizations destroyed. There's like no emotional context whatsoever.
Aliens are so drawn to our landmarks. I'm like, just blow up something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Blow up a puppy or a child. That's more. It's going to resonate more than blowing up,
Right.
the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Even the Parisians don't like the Eiffel Tower. They don't care.
That's why Godzilla switched to defending children in the 70s. People got tired of Crash, Boom. They want to see the bad monster do that, but they want to see the kids go, ah, and then Godzilla jumps out of nowhere because he was hiding in a bit. Who knows how he got there? He's big, and defend the kids and that kind of thing.
Now, even though we're a little behind because started this off by talking about Jack Reacher, and I saw this trailer during Jack Reacher. I wanted to mention Jack Reacher just because I saw it last night. Tyler saw it. And
to me now, I've seen the trailers for it.
Yeah.
And the trailers, and this is of course whoever cut the trailer, has nothing to do with the actual movie. Whoever cut the trailer basically was like, okay, so it's a movie about Tom Cruise walking around being a complete cocksucker. Why would I watch this movie?
It was
is it a good film?
It was good. It was.
Tom Cruise acts like a dick.
People that have read the books say he nailed it.
Well, and I'll tell you what. Before I saw this movie, I also listened to a podcast with the writer-director Christopher McQuarrie. Which, if you ever have a chance to listen to Christopher McQuarrie, this guy is a storyteller. It was a 2-hour podcast, and I was riveted for 2 hours listening to this guy. He does a podcast on a creative screenwriting podcast you can find on iTunes for Valkyrie, because he wrote Valkyrie. He's also the same guy who wrote The Usual Suspects.
Excellent movie.
But he talks for 2 hours about Valkyrie and about working with Tom Cruise and before. I mean, it was amazing. And then, again, that's why he ends up working with Cruise on this film, because he wrote and directed this. And the film was really good. And some of the stuff that I didn't know, after listening to it, Tom Cruise does all of his own driving stunts in this film. You see a close-up of Tom Cruise driving at 80 miles an hour? That's Tom Cruise driving a muscle car at 80 miles an hour. And there were no digital effects in the driving stunts. It was like muscle cars barreling through streets, running over water. I mean, it was really good. And the way that they shot it was they had a modified Porsche Cayenne SUV. And they basically cut a hole out of the roof, put a Russian arm on the top, which a Russian arm is a big crane with a camera on the end. And
it's got a gyroscopic head and it's articulating so it can go 360 degrees around the car.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so they had the director squeezed into the trunk with a monitor, Christopher McQuarrie. They had a cameraman, a focus puller, and a driver. And for one of the things listening to this podcast, and again, it's look up the Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith podcast, Jack Reacher. It's really good. But what Christopher McQuarrie says is that the stunt guy and Tom Cruise are talking. He's like, well, how fast should we drive? And the stunt guy basically says to him, he's like, well, you're in a hurry, aren't you? You just go. And they're like literally barreling through the streets of Pittsburgh at like 70 miles an hour, with the cameraman just controlling, this Russian arm, and Tom Cruise is just balls out, just driving this souped up, Monte Carlo SS, just all over the place. And it was the way
I love it when a guy does their own stuff.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
I love it.
Good stuff.
The only 2 car chases I could compare it to is either in Ronin or in Bullet.
I was when I was watching it last night, I was like, this is as good as the car chase in Bullet.
It really was.
Yeah.
Because so few guys do their own stunts anymore.
Steve McQueen in Bullet was a race car driver.
Well, he was a race car driver in real life.
In real life, that's what I'm saying. In real life, and Cruise does the same stuff. He's a professional driver.
He owns a P-51 that he flies around in. He has an A-26 Havoc. He's got all kinds of cool
say
stuff.
what you will about Tom Cruise and being wacky and all that, but I like the guy.
Nothing about that trailer makes me want to see that movie.
I know, but
honestly, I think the trailer doesn't give service. It doesn't give the tone of the movie, which is it's really
it doesn't give anything to me. All it gives to me is like Tom Cruise walks around and acts like, and I like Tom Cruise. I have no problem with him. Tom Cruise's character walks around acting like a cock. That's all I get from that movie. I'm like, why would I watch this?
Yeah. Well, then they did a bad job with the trailer, because I liked the movie. I liked the movie, and it was good. It was good, and I loved the I know it's the sound design, it's not the actual sound of the car, but just the deep throaty muscle car rumbling that they had for this car when it's driving.
It's a Chevelle.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So
yeah, see, nothing in the trailer gives anything to me about the tone or about even the story. Nothing.
And it was actually sort of a thriller mystery where they're trying to solve this crime where a sniper takes out 5 people in Pittsburgh, and so they arrest one guy and they basically figure out he's not the actual. Yeah, okay, I want to ruin it, but it was good. I enjoyed the film.
That's what I was saying though. The trailer doesn't know service at all. You get the
because there are so many movies where
this is like Mission Impossible meets some badassery here. It's like I don't understand what this is.
Yeah, Mission Impossible
like, no one,
are terrible.
No one that I knew that watched the trailer could tell you what the fucking movie was about.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No, I couldn't.
I certainly can't.
I can't.
Like,
no, and so
they keep emphasizing these 2 scenes, which is Tom Cruise being.
And the main reason I went and saw the film is because I listened to the podcast first, and I was like, all right. I should go check this out, because I just liked the stories that I was hearing from the writer-director, so he obviously did a good job selling it to me while I was listening to it.
But he should have cut the trailer.
Yeah, but so anyways, I know the film came out at the end of December, but I'm talking about it now because I just saw it, and I know how we all like real stunts. I like people who do real stunts in films, the real driving stunts. No digital effects for the action scenes, and just go balls out basically.
Die Hard 5.
Ugh.
They're gonna make another Die Hard.
It's done.
Coming out in February.
It comes out Valentine's Day.
Oh God.
And the last one was so bad that I don't even have adjectives for it. I need to speak French.
Yeah.
I think they knew it was bad. I think they're gonna go kind of visceral and old school on this one.
I don't know.
I'm hoping.
I hope so. It was so bad.
The thing is, the second one is such a repeat of the first one, but I really like the second one. It's fun. It worked.
It's true. It's fun. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, now cargo planes have ejection seats. Ha 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 ha. But it's still fun. It's fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
I wish they would have made the original premise for the third one. I would love to have seen how that would have played out, and that got tanked, unfortunately, which is too bad. Which I'm sure you guys are aware of. The third one was supposed to be on a cruise ship, and then Under Siege came out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They scrapped the whole script, and they found a script called Simon Says, and rewrote it for the Die Hard movie.
Wow. I didn't know that at all.
56 Blocks? What was the one where...
16 Blocks?
16 Blocks, where he's in the bus, he's got to get the prisoner.
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
That was the original script for Die Hard 4.
Really?
And when they were doing test markets, people were saying, well, John McClane's not relevant anymore. You know, no one wants to see an old beat-up Bruce Willis kicking ass. So they...
I'd watch an old beat-up Bruce Willis.
They didn't know at the time. That was what the marketing department was saying. So instead they made 16 Blocks. But if you watch that movie, it's fucking John McClane trying to get a prisoner to his...
Maybe I'll have to watch 16 Blocks now.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think I will.
And it did fairly well in theaters. Well enough to where people were like, maybe we'll make another Die Hard.
Right.
And
sure enough, the fourth Die Hard is garbage. And the third Die Hard doesn't work simply because it was not written to be a Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
You know, Sybil Shepherd and him hate each other's guts. Well, let me take that back. He does not hate her guts, but she was this classically trained thespian and everything like that.
You said thespian.
She had all this, and she paid her dues and did theater and everything like that. And he was this guy that they basically discovered in a bar. And it's always bothered her that his career...
Skyrocket.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy who does Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men, if not remember.
Chuck Lorre.
Chuck Lorre has a great story about being fired by her.
Cool.
From he was one of the head writers on her sitcom that was big in the
Sybil?
late 90s.
Wasn't it just called Sybil?
Yeah, and he made some comment.
Not the movie about the schizophrenic girl, but...
But he made some, like, I can't remember it, but he says in an interview, he made some, like, smart-ass comment about her being a lesbian or something, and she just fired him on the spot. He's totally just like...
Wow, I never would have guessed that.
That's hilarious.
I never would have guessed
But
that at all.
It was the old, like, he was just mouthing off and making smart... Like, something I would do, just run his mouth and he was just done. Get the fuck out of here.
Huh, she's gay, huh?
No, he was just being a wise ass.
Oh, okay, but I never would have guessed that. Yeah.
He was just being a wise ass. He made some comment about her being not even a lesbian, being like a manly woman or something. She's just like, all right, you're done.
Well, she is kind of, dark voice, deep voice, type of.
Well, the older she gets, probably the more manly she gets looking.
Yeah.
She
was just in episodes of Criminal Minds, and her husband was played by Randolph Mantooth. Which I thought was just totally awesome.
That's
I couldn't
funny.
believe Randolph Mantooth of all people to show up. I was like, that is awesome. I loved Emergency.
Did have you seen Argo yet, superhero?
No.
I still want to see Argo.
Argo was really good.
Film the movie that's supposed to be Argo.
Yeah. I want.
That would be awesome.
I've been on the road, man. That's why I don't have much to contribute much. I just drove 1,000.
You don't have much to contribute. You're talking nonstop. What are you talking about?
I drove 1,009 miles. Talking and contributing are two different things.
Have you ever seen a political debate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I drove 1,009 miles.
Now you took a little trip up to Atlanta, Hotlanta.
Yeah. Georgia's the most convoluted state you'll ever drive through. Every other billboard is strippers, Jesus, strippers, Jesus, strippers, Jesus, peaches, strippers, Jesus.
Now, were you doing any superheroing up there? Or what were you doing?
Well,
in,
it was
Atlanta?
superheroing and wrestling are kind of like chocolate and peanut butter.
Right.
You get a lot of indie workers that are superheroes nowadays and things like that, like me and Razorhawk. So it was go to Atlanta to eat at Abdullah the Butcher's, and so I drove 10 straight hours to get to Abdullah the Butcher's barbecue and Chinese food. And it was very good. I got there. Abdullah's place is more like, if you type Abdullah the Butcher, he'll come right up, believe me. It's more of a shrine to wrestling. I've got I'm going to make a whole video out of this big odyssey. And all these famous old wrestlers, there's all 8x10s of them everywhere, and there he is, and everything like that. Those scars in his head are so deep, when he goes to Vegas, he'll put poker chips in them and just walk around with poker chips in his scars and pull them out and raise bet. People go, that's okay, we'll just let you raise. Yeah, and he'll pull them out and
because he was a cutter.
He learned from the Sheik, who was the original hardcore guy, the original guy with a blade and everything. And Abdullah took it to the next level. And he's always been that blading. That's what we used to call, like, someone would sock you, and then he'd turn and sell it to the crowd, and you'd go underneath the apron or something and pull a piece of razor blade out and just touch your head, and you just touching your head.
Well, yeah, all you need is a small head when you go gush.
It gushes. And that's called juicing, blading, things like that. Well, he was the king of that. He was the innovator, the originator of it. But anyway, I saw his restaurant, but he was not feeling good. So, and a matter of fact, I have a superhero / wrestler up there who is friends with his manager, who even said, look, this guy drove 10 hours to meet Abdullah the Butcher, but he wasn't feeling good, so he just the weather was bad.
Yeah.
And he couldn't make it. He couldn't make it. But I did get to see his restaurant.
Sure.
So then when I was done there, then I went on patrol with Crimson Fist, and we went all through Atlanta. It's just a wild city. Of all the big cities I've been to, Atlanta is the one I like going back to. It's
really?
Clean, it's nice, Even the graffiti is art.
Every street's named Peachtree.
Yeah. Or named after a soldier. Yeah. Peachtree or a soldier. And trains that go on for miles, and it's just a beautiful city. It's fun.
There he is actually putting some...
Yeah, he's blading there. But at any rate, I love going to Atlanta. I mean, I've done New York, I've done LA, I've done San Diego, I've done Chicago.
I've been to Atlanta, but only as a child. So
yeah, I love it there. The CNN building, the history of Coke is great to go to. Free plug for Atlanta here. The Atlanta Seaquarium.
The Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau thanks you.
I love Atlanta. I'd go again tomorrow. Yeah, I love going. But anyways,
I do want to do the
even the homeless people there, like the homeless people down here, or something like with that rabies virus and that zombie movie or something. Here's us down here.
28 days later.
Yeah, here's
shooting people's faces off.
Yeah, running in the opposite direction, bear macing behind us like this, trying to get away from them and stuff. Up there, the homeless people are like, "Hi, I'm a homeless person. I'm pleased to meet you. Why, yes, I have a degree in nuclear physiology."
No, that's usually philosophy.
And now, if you don't mind, I would like to spray your windshield and blah blah blah. You know, it's gonna and they're articulate and intellectual and stuff like that. Whereas the homeless people down here have that rabies virus out of 28. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's them. Like, that's good.
That's a spoon. That's a knife.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's.
So you're saying the quality of homeless in Atlanta is much better than
much better
than in
better.
Florida.
Everything about Atlanta is great. So me and Fist did a patrol up there, and then I drove back. And on the way back, I stopped at a air museum, which was amazing. Which will all be in my video that I make about this whole
Have you
thing.
been to the National Air and Space Museum in D.C. before?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was actually, for me, a little better.
Oh, really?
It focused more on Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that era of aircraft had some Soviet aircraft in it and things like that. Then on the way back from there, then I ran into a supervillain in Gainesville.
And what qualifies him as a supervillain? Him or her?
Him. He is that.
If it was her, I'd ask her.
They're actually, supervillain was like a thing that came along with the superhero community. It was just like a little while though, but it was people that decided, well, if there's superheroes out there, we'll be supervillains, but they really can't do anything as supervillains without getting into trouble,
actually going to jail.
Without actually going to jail. So a lot of them became like hecklers and stuff like that.
They're like trolls.
They take food away from the homeless.
And then it kind of, and then it kind of died out. But this guy was guy was humorous about it and everything. He's got his own show on the internet and everything like that. So I met him for
we
dinner
have our own show on the internet.
at a place called Dragonfly Sushi and hung out with him for a while and everything like that. Then I drove home. Then I came here to do this show. Then I'm going to go to Hulk Hogan's place out on
the former Krabby Bill's on the Courtney Campbell Causeway.
If anybody watching wants
Tampa,
to
Florida.
This.
Unfortunately, this won't be up and live by the time we're heading to the restaurant.
That's true.
So.
But yeah, so my past 3 days have been an odyssey of wrestling, superheroes, and food. And it's still not over with yet. It'll finish after I go to Hulk.
Finish up at Hogan's.
Yeah.
Very good.
Abdullah's little boots. There was a little kid in there. I brought my Abdullah action figure with me. And some little kid came and grabbed him off the table. And I was like, you can play with him, no problem. And everything while we're sitting there eating and talking and everything. And his mom said, oh, well, he knows who John Cena is and stuff like that. I was like, Abdullah the Butcher would eat John Cena. There'd be a pile of bones left. There would be nothing left of John Cena. Wrestling is so sterile and cute. Like nowadays, like a couple of weeks ago, Santa Claus actually showed up.
Really?
On WWE. And I was like, Abdullah would take a fork to John Cena one time and it would be off the air forever. It would never be on network television again as long as it lasts. It's for completely, it just how much things have changed and everything like that. But that's why I don't have much film-wise to contribute because I've been on the road for days and days and days and days and days.
Well, you know how this goes. We just start rambling on and on anyways. And we started out, sort of talking about the Oscars, and I don't know if there are any real surprises this year with the...
The only surprise really is Beast of the Southern Wild.
Yes, that's a big surprise.
Which
we have copies of that at the store where you have.
Beast of the Southern
cheap.
Wild?
Is it good?
It's it depends.
I do want to see it.
A pretentious Razorback to me.
No, it has nothing to do with Razorback. Why I want to mention Beast of the Southern Wild is the little film that doesn't die. It took Sundance last year, did very well. But why I'm proud of it is we've shown Ben Zilton and Ray. I can't remember Ray's last name. It's Court 13 is the production company, but we've shown both of their short films at
Sunscreen,
which is Death of the Tin Man.
Oh, really? Like that's my choice.
And
Glory, short film I've ever seen.
and Glory at Sea.
Yeah.
So it's the same guys who did those two short films.
Okay. I'm already very intrigued then.
They then went and made Beast of Southern Wild.
Death of the Tin Man, which I think you can probably see online.
You can see it online, yeah.
Is amazing, and it's the best 11 minutes just spent.
Well, and Beast of the Southern Wild, the actors that they use completely non-professional actors for this film.
It's interesting. If you watch Glory at Sea, which is absolutely one of my all-time favorite short films, Glory at Sea is sort of a precursor to Beast of Southern Wild. It feels very much like Beast of Southern Wild is an extension of that same story, and a lot of the same non-actors, locals from the Louisiana area, end up in Beast of Southern Wild.
Right.
But it's a very strange movie. There's very, very minimal dialogue throughout the entire thing. In fact, if there's 10 lines of dialogue, I'd be shocked. It's very cerebral, and people who are going to go see the movie, because now you see commercials and trailers for it. They're getting a wide release once again in theaters. People are going to be really fucking pissed off at the movie they're going to go see, because they're going to think it's some kind of mainstream thing with a little girl, she's a hero, and there's all kinds of special effects. No. This is what was the big movie last year that no one liked but won a bunch of awards? Damn it.
Pie?
No, not Pie. The one about the life thing with Brad Pitt.
Oh, Tree of Life.
Tree of Life. Okay.
Yeah.
This is like Tree of Life. It's very, very...
Don't say that, because I don't want to see Tree of Life, but I do want to see Beast of the Southern Wild.
Okay. Visually, it is absolutely stunning. It's an amazing film, but it is not a traditional Hollywood narrative by any means.
Sure.
It's very, very strange.
Razorback, I knew it.
Those are actually aurochs.
Whatever.
Which I do want to see the film, and the thing that I like to pull for in a movie like this is I believe the little girl who in this film, she's nominated for best.
The youngest ever. She's 9 years old.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
9 years old, nominated for best actress, and she's a non-professional actress. I would love to see a little 9-year-old girl who's never done anything before beat established.
Take that, Oscar.
Yeah.
They said she's not going to win, and that they were amazed that she was even nominated, just because the Academy people who do vote are incredibly resentful of young actresses or actors for that matter. It's just because they haven't honed their craft, and certainly someone who doesn't even know she's acting.
Yeah.
It's just someone who's literally make-believing through the entire movie.
Yeah.
But it really works.
But that is acting.
That is what I
Yeah.
think.
Did
I'm sorry.
Diane Lane get an Oscar really young? I could have sworn she
Diane
was
Lane, Oscar really young.
for
I
Paper
don't
Moon or something
know.
like
I don't know.
And she was. This must be a record breaker though, because she was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, she's a kid. This girl's 9 years old.
So was Jodie Foster in Taxi Driver.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's
But she's 9, which is I think easily the youngest by 6 or 7 years. Like there was someone who was nominated when she was 14 or something like that.
But yeah, since the average age of the Academy voter is 62 years old, odds are that the 9-year-old girl, first-time actor, never done anything before, will probably not win. But
why not? Oh, look at the adorable little girl! Yeah, that's possible.
It is possible.
Though, that they're saying that because you see movies like Beast of Southern Wild being nominated for anything, which is amazing that it was nominated for an Academy Award, that it shows the split between the Academy, between a much younger generation that's upcoming and a much older generation that's on its way out.
Yeah.
I'd much rather watch Charlie Chaplin fall down again.
You're right. They're waiting for the Great Train Robbery to come back in fashion.
Yeah.
And if they wait long enough, maybe it will. But another 10 years, and that old
I would love to see a breakdown of since the average age is 62. I wonder if there are 1,000 members that are 80 plus, and then there's 1,000 members that are under 40. You know what I mean? And that's how the average age ends up being 62. I'd like to see what like actual breakdown numbers are.
What do you have to do to be a member? Is my question. If they're all in their, if the average age is 62, do you have to have won one?
You know, I happen to be friends with an Academy voting member, John Flynn, not John Flynn who lives in Florida, but John Flynn, one of the founders of Hollywood Classics out in Los Angeles, that has been at the festival before to you know, acquire and look at films. And I just saw John in October when I was out in LA, and he is a voting Academy member. I should ask him. I suppose we could look it up, but it'd always be good to ask somebody, and maybe I'll have an answer next week.
And you might get some insights that you would
They
find.
give them for interesting things. People always think that it's best picture, best actor, best supporting actor. They give Academy Awards for all kinds of things.
There are technical Academy Awards.
Beyond that, even the skipper's dad, Alan Hale, remember from the Danny Kaye movies, like The Major General and stuff like that, and he was Friar Tuck in all the Robin Hood movies. The skipper looks exactly like him. People actually confuse the
Skipper
two.
from Gilligan's Island.
Jonas Grumby. They actually confuse the two of them because they look so much alike. The skipper's dad had an Oscar for inventing the movie theater seat that goes up like this.
Yeah.
It's time to push your movie theater seat to sit down.
It was like a technical innovation award in film or something like that.
Thank Alan Hale.
Maybe next week we will look up all of the odd and bizarre Academy Awards for things like that and discuss that.
Really research before this?
I know. But we are about out of time here. So thanks everyone for joining us on Sunscreen Film Festival podcast number 25. Next week will be 26. Hard to believe. And please join us again. Send us an email, podcast@sunscreenfilmfestival.com, info@sunscreenfilmfestival.com. We would love to answer viewer mail if we ever got any. Somebody someday will send us viewer mail.
Break out the crayons.
It'll be some crank thing or anti-Semite crap
or you can post comments on the YouTube page. So anyways, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week.